tuning in. It hasn't been quite what you expected or I expected, I know, but it's a start, and I will see you again soon. Hey everyone, and welcome back. I'm really sorry for the technical problems we've had this morning, but it wouldn't be normal, would it, if something didn't go quite wrong, especially as this is the first time I've done this. So I appreciate your patience. If I've lost you and you can't come back, then I'm really sorry, but this will be live and available to watch back later. I'm Catherine from The Plot, and I am hoping to do some live content for you on a regular basis, answering your questions about brand proposition and marketing. So I'm going to get stuck straight in and have a go second time round, and hopefully this helps. And excuse me for keeping one eye on whether people can actually see this on live on LinkedIn right now. I'm hoping you can, fingers crossed. So this session is designed to answer your questions. Let's crack on with the first question, which is from Claire, and is about the metrics and KPIs you should be measuring for the success of your marketing and PR campaigns. So the most important thing here is that you are measuring your commercial goals alongside your brand metrics. So your commercial goals are going to be things like your sales, revenue, traffic, conversion rates, that kind of thing. And your brand metrics are going to be your reach, engagement, click-throughs, shares, views, all of that kind of stuff. And what happens quite often is that the two are measured entirely separately, and brand teams have no idea about the commercial goals that their content is trying to reach, trying to achieve. That's not to say that a lot of your brand content isn't designed just for engagement and brand awareness, but if it's never impacting the bottom line and it's never impacting that commercial success, then something's not quite right. The two need to work together. Summarize the top level things that you need to be measuring together in your business are your traffic, including where that traffic's coming from, your revenue, how your traffic is converting, so how much is it costing you to acquire a customer, and then on the brand side, your reach, engagement, and traffic views. And how are those two things working together? The other thing that you really should be tracking as part of your KPIs are your reviews, percentage of positive reviews, and then from there, your sentiment as well. Sentiment scores are really important. The final thing I'd add there is that be really careful of vanity metrics. If you are tracking kind of reach, comments, engagement for social content, if it's performing brilliantly, but it actually bears no relevance to your product or service and people aren't visiting the site, then it's not going to help you in the long term. It might feel good in the short term, but it's not going to help you in the long term. Right, I know this is a little bit quicker than I'd hoped to, but let's move on to the next question. So this is a really good one. How do you stay up to date with the latest marketing and PR trends? And I think the key here is to look at trends as a consumer, not as a marketeer. It's brilliant that you keep up to date on LinkedIn with podcasts, with industry articles and all of that kind of thing. But looking at something through the eyes of a consumer is the absolute best way to keep up with trends and tactics and figure out how you're going to implement them in your business. A huge amount of my inspiration comes from things I see out and about. So out of home advertising, how new products are promoted in supermarkets, just conversations people are having. And I quite often take pictures of things I see out and about. And whilst I can't say that I sit there meticulously at the end of each day and download those ideas, they are there when you're trying to come up with a brand marketing campaign and you need inspiration. However, for the kind of trending in the moment stuff, you've obviously got to be really reactive and quick and capitalize on that opportunity there and then. And you really need to ask yourself, who's consuming this kind of content? Where are they consuming it? And can I make it tailored and relevant to my business? So, for example, if there's a new dance trend on TikTok and you're a wedding venue and you can get wedding guests to recreate that trend within kind of days of it taking off, then amazing. It shows the personality and the fun in your brand. And if you think about kind of the White Link parody of the Mercedes car video, which you must have seen, if not, I'll send you a link, then you'll know that they've been very quick, very reactive. They've seen a direct link between Mercedes and their business as a transport provider, and they've just had a load of fun with it. And I think that's the most important thing. Now, I want to talk quickly about where I find inspiration online. And again, it comes back to looking at things through the eyes of a customer. Think about the brands you buy from online. And for me, that would be people like Vinted, Netflix, Expedia, Just Eat. And think about how they integrate kind of trends and latest tactics into their messaging and marketing. How are they keeping you engaged? How are they making sure you're a happy customer? What keeps you going back and buying from them? So look at that as well. And again, I hope I've still got you with me. Let's have a look at the next question. So, what marketing strategies or tactics are most effective in attracting and retaining visitors? This is a question specifically to the travel and tourism sector and visitor and experience based businesses. I'm just going to have a quick sip of tea, and I'm conscious that I'm speaking really fast, so I'm going to slow things down. Let's come back around to the fact that you first of all, to attract and retain customers, you've got to know exactly who you're talking to, who your customer is, and what problem you solve for them. And I'm going to give a quick example of something I posted about the other day, which is a talk I listened to at a networking event from an ex brothel madam turned marketeer. And she started off by asking the audience what we thought the number one question that they were asked as a business by their customers. And you can use your imagination here. There were lots of hands went up and people suggested lots of different things. Like, what was the number one question that customers had for that business? And the answer was, is there parking? Because lots of people were very nervous about parking their executive cars in a dodgy alley or side street while they visited this business, and they wanted to know if there was safe, secure parking. Now, nobody who put their hand up thought of that, but that business knew their customer and they knew exactly what their primary concerns were, the barriers to entry and the objections they needed to overcome. So that's the first thing you have to do, and have to do well, to understand how to attract and retain visitors. What motivates your customer, and looking at whether your messaging is so simple and straightforward that you overcome lots of those objections through your kind of daily marketing, your always on evergreen marketing. And usually those barriers to entries are things like trust, ease of use, which can be speed, convenience, all of those things. A lot of that can be driven by technology, and it is sometimes price, but price always comes with a caveat of still wanting kind of quality and service. Make sure your messaging is really clear and make sure it gets that across quickly, and that's probably the number one way to attract customers. Let's focus on bragging rights as well for a second, because for experience-based businesses, bragging rights is a really important part of what you need to give back to your customers. The photo moments, the I went here and I did this thing, and the kind of the showing off within that. A huge amount of that can be facilitated by you through the experience you give. And that takes us on to the retaining customers part, because to retain a customer, you need them to become a brand advocate, which means that your customer experience has to be second to none. If you're a theme park, for example, the experience you give to people when they're in the park through your customer service is absolutely paramount. And then keeping people engaged in the conversation through that experience and beyond, so that they want to come back and share content, share photos publicly online, leave positive reviews, is part of that retention piece. And this is exactly how you're going to get that person to be your brand ambassador. Make them feel like the most important person in the equation. Make them feel like they're the hero, because you're just the guide. So make them feel really important and valued when it comes to them giving you you sharing content and them engaging with that content. A lot of that is down to personalization of the experience. Afterwards, before, during, and afterwards, how do you personalize and tailor that experience to that person? And again, that hugely comes down to customer service. AI, yes, is changing everything, and it's an absolutely invaluable tool, but customer service before, during, and after an experience from a real person is probably the number one way that you are going to retain a customer. That's what's going to stand you apart from your competitors for sure. Right, let's move on to the next question. Right, this is another good one, but quite a quick one to answer. What technology and social media do you recommend to enhance an attraction's brand presence and visitor interaction? So, again, this is for people in the travel and tourism sector. This is about attractions and experiences, but the same answer can be applied to so many consumer based businesses. My two answers here are video and TikTok. If a brand can figure out how to integrate and find the time and resource for short form video and TikTok content on a daily basis, if not a very consistent, regular basis, then this is the answer to this challenge. To enhance your brand presence, content, whether it's live or pre-recorded, taking people behind the scenes at your experience is the number one way to raise that brand presence and stand out from the crowds. That is my quick and easy answer to that question. One other thing I'll add on technology is, personally, I think Bluetooth beacons are massively underused at visitor attractions. They're a pretty low cost technology that allow you to send push notifications to people while they're visiting you. That might be directional and helping them navigate, helping people navigate their way around. It might be making sure people don't miss parts of your experience. It might be upselling or cross-selling things from an F&B or retail perspective, but it's something that's been talked about for years and has been used for years, but is not been adopted as widely as I would have expected, certainly in the visitor attraction sector. Right, next question. Let's have a look. I feel like I'm rattling through these way too quickly, but this is the first attempt. Anything goes, right? So this is a question from Kate, and it says, where do you start with audience personas? And this is a good one because I've seen lots of businesses over the years sit in a boardroom and come up with an audience persona and just kind of retrofitting this character that is supposed to be the primary person who wants to buy your product or service. And it's really hard to do that, despite the fact that your products and services are ever evolving and changing, as are your customer needs and expectations. You've got to really understand a few basics before you can fully know who your target audience are. So these are the questions you need to ask yourself, really. What problem does your product or service solve? And that's something I've mentioned a couple of times already. What are the main 2 or 3 types of people who have this problem and have this problem currently? And of those people, which segments can afford your product or service? What kind of budget level is that product or service aimed towards? The next question is, at what stage of their life do they need that solution to that problem? So what kind of age group are they in at the point they're going to become your customer? What other problems do they have, and therefore what other solutions are they seeking out? And this will tell you a bit about what other brands and products and services they buy and consume. What part of their life does the product or service you offer solve a problem in? And that will tell you a little bit about the lifestyle of your customer, what they're doing with their time. How do they make decisions? And are they making a decision just for them? Are they making a decision for them and their family? Are they making a decision for them and a group of friends or their partner? And when you can start answering these type of questions, it all of a sudden becomes a lot easier I'm going to conclude with this. Get together 10 or 15 people. If budgets are tight, you can use friends and family, but you need to ask them to put their consumer hats on, not their friend or family hat. And test out the answers to all of those questions that you've put together and see what it tells you.